Welcome to The Breakdown. Today I'm talking to my good friend Santana Blanchette. We talk about the do's and don'ts of AI writing. I'm looking forward to this, so let's get going. Hi Santana, how are you?
I'm good. How are you doing, Peter?
Not bad. It's nice to see you again. It's been a while.
Likewise, it's been a minute. It's been what, a couple years now, hey?
Right. And I think I saw you at an event, like across a crowded room. It was some startup networking event maybe a year ago. Does that ring a bell?
Probably. You and I always joke that we're professional extroverts. And whether that's true to our personal life or not, we sure play one on TV, don't we?
It's funny. I was getting out there and I feel like it's like a muscle for me. If I don't like constantly use it, I lose it. Like it doesn't come naturally for me to talk to people or put myself out there. So I think just before COVID, I was getting in a good spot. And then COVID gave me the perfect excuse to hibernate again and just never see the light of day. And it's been a long haul trying to get back to it.
You bet. Yeah, learning how to like talk to strangers it's something that I think a lot of people wish they could automate, don't they?
Yeah, I think we're getting close to that. Hey, like pretty soon. So this is a little off topic, but someone was telling me there was a big interview at one of the big kind of law firms like Deloitte or something like that, but they got something like 1,000 interviews. And there's two. One of them was a person with his digital avatar beside him in like a split screen like this. And so he's like, when you're hiring me, you're also hiring my twin. And then there was another fellow who just had his digital twin in the interview and he wasn't present. And yeah, I don't know what you think of this, but at the end of it, the guy who was hiring was like, yeah, at first I was like offended almost by it. And then as I was thinking about it later at night, I'm like, oh, or is this like the exact type of person we need to get into the company? How do you feel about that?
I think what makes AI currently usable is human discernment.
Yeah.
So I think we should be using it, but I think to suggest that it can like outright replace right now that's a bold move, Cotton.
All I was thinking about is like, oh my God, this is like a movie where I can make like 20 of myself and hold down 20 jobs at once.
Totally. And then do them all poorly because
Right.
we still need fact checkers, right? What was
Yeah.
that recent article I saw? And I might be just spewing misinformation here, so correct me if I'm wrong or cut it out. But didn't one of the AI chatbots get like really obsessed with goblins, or like there was like some special interest,
Oh,
hyper focus that it had on something and it just wouldn't stop talking about it? Like
I-
it's not there yet.
yeah. Well, I can't wait for one of my digital twins to get fired one day and you find out, hey, Peter, well, you got fired for spewing, Nazi propaganda at work. So you're out, right? Because I think, wasn't Grok getting hit with that the whole time?
Yeah, but that's not surprising at all. I don't want to get into it, but I think the data that Elon's training his stuff on is questionable at best.
Yeah. And I think, we're getting to our topic here because I feel like all of these LLMs are a product of their training data to all degree, right? And then you look at something like ChatGPT, which has probably got the biggest data set out of all of them. But then you got to really worry about the quality of data coming in and then what's creeping into your outputs, right?
Yeah, I mean, something that we always say in our data, like on our data team, is garbage in, garbage out, right? And I think that's true in any technology. Like it's only as good as what you're feeding it. So the information on the internet is notoriously unreliable,
Mm-hmm.
which is to say that I imagine that a lot of the information that we're getting on some of these AI tools is worth our scrutiny at the least.
Yeah. And I don't know, like, I know that some of the models, and I don't know, I think it's Chat too, right? I think Chat has access to YouTube, but you think of all the comments, like that's usually the dumpster fire of the internet is in the comments on YouTube. And so if that's where, you're getting some of your training, it's like, oh God, I can only imagine.
I think the top places that it pulls from are at current, depending on the platform, obviously. But I think right now it's Reddit, YouTube, Google, and I don't know the other one. But there's quite a few places they're pulling from. And I mean, I don't want to poo-poo it entirely because without crowdsourced information, we wouldn't have Wikipedia. And Wikipedia is pretty great in many ways. But that was like democratized by users, right? It can be edited by anyone, whereas AI is a very specific handful of people that are creating and moderating these systems. So I think I think that some of these, like, publicly sourced things can be awesome. It's just who has the keys, who's driving.
Yeah, who knows, right? But so this was interesting because I wanted to chat to you because while you're a writer, and I definitely admire the work you do, it
Thank you.
always feels very genuine and heartfelt. And I just getting your take on, obviously the change. And I think writing was the first, forgive the expression, but low hanging fruit because everything's text based and, the outputs are generally writing. So people were using them to respond to emails or generate draft documents or who knows what. But there's been this influx of writing and just getting your sense of the quality. I know a lot of people are talking about AI slop these days. Do you think it's helped more than it's hurt? Or, where are you at with this?
I think there was a lot of copy out there that was not a waste of time, but that could be a lot more efficient. And I
Mm.
think that AI has been really great for that. I think for professional writers and good copywriters, it's a friend and a tool for editing. If you train the brand voice properly on your projects, it can do a really good job. I think that for regular people who don't get paid money to write, but have to write as part of their job, account managers, things like that. It's great to have a robot friend help edit an email or draft a response to an angry client or whatever that might look like. But I think similar to anything in digital marketing, there's always bad actors, right? There's always like snake oil salesmen looking to make a buck. And those are the ones that are just like flooding the space with garbage blogs and really generic LinkedIn posts. And yeah, I think it's as good as marketing's always been looking for shortcuts. That's just like the nature of it. And so I think that this tool has gone exactly as anyone would have predicted it to in terms of how people are using it to write.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. I saw this great cartoon. It was only three panels, and the first one is this guy saying, um, help me take my three bullet points and turn it into a proper email to be read. And then on the other end, maybe it's only two panels. The other guy's like, hey, take this gigantic email and condense it down into three bullet points so I can read it. Right. So I feel like there's a lot of that going on where there's a lot of um, fluff, especially when I think of AI writing. You ask a question and you get a novel back. It doesn't matter what you ask.
Yeah.
And every time you're generating copy, there just feels like there's so much padding
Yeah.
into the conversation. Do you find that?
100%. And I think it's probably our biggest problem. But I would preface it back that that's always been a bad writer's problem is a bad writer thinks of what they want to write or how they want to be perceived and not what the reader wants or what the reader needs to know. And that's true of bad writing from robots and people. Like
Mm.
that lack of user or reader empathy is the same on either side. I would suggest, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I think there's some creative directors talking about how hard it was to make something simple, which sounds crazy, but the more condensed your sentence is, the harder work it probably takes to get there, right?
I would love to ask you if you think that people using AI to write the most are giving it the right guardrails. Are they giving it the prompts to keep it brief? Are they saying what key pieces of information they want the reader to take away? Are they asking it to make it skimmable? Like, how many directions do we think? I think a lot of the slop just comes from like sloppy directions from the user in many sense.
That's okay. That's a great comment. I think that the answer is no one. Maybe the
Yeah,
odd person, right?
exactly.
Myself, I'm guilty of this too, right? But you're right. If you don't give it any direction, you just get what you get. And there's a couple things I think you can do to guide that. But I'd be curious to get your sense of like when you're using AI to do any kind of assistance with writing, what are the guardrails you give it?
Yeah, so I am a big stand for Claude specifically because I love the use of projects. And so in
Mm.
any projects that I'm using it for, which is a lot of different things, I always have my brand tone of voice in there. I've got my guidelines, I've got do's and don'ts, like what I don't want it to include. So I ask it to skim for brevity, for the demographic I'm trying to talk to. I always include the type of people I'm trying to speak to in the project. I use it for outlines. I use it to synthesize research. I mostly use it as a writing assistant or for first drafts. And one of the biggest things that I find is if I am using research, I ask it to help me synthesize it verbatim. Like I want the language used from the inputs I'm putting in if I'm doing
Mm.
outlines and notes so it doesn't office jargonify the good research I'm trying to input.
Yeah, it loves jargon. I know that part.
Oof.
Yeah, I love that. I love the idea of brevity and also the target audience. Those are two big ones for me. So do you put those into your kind of like global instructions in the project, or do you put that in every time you're talking to it?
No, global instructions. I've got different projects for different content types. So I've got
Mm.
projects. I've got one for our newsletter. I've got one for our email. I've got one for our social captions. And again, I don't let it run loose because I think that can make some really generic stuff. But for outlines, for caption options, for headings, things like that, like it all has the same brand standards, but each platform is slightly different. And so the
Mhm.
instructions for each platform are slightly different.
I love it. That's such a great way to use it. I know that with ChatGPT, you could do something similar with like custom GPTs, but Claude's got a really nice way of packaging that stuff up. Do
Yeah,
you
for sure.
find, let's talk about just AI writing in general. How easy is it for you to spot AI writing when you're looking?
I think I think it's pretty easy right now. I mean, we all know the telltale signs, right? This or that statements. It's not this, it's that. Lots of M
Mhm.
dashes, lots of line breaks, lots of jargon. It sounds very friendly and assertive and professional. I think it's easy right now. Yeah, that's what I'll say. I think it's easy right now.
You figure it's going to get harder? It's
I
got to,
do.
they got to start to bake that in sooner or later. It's probably just like images where you can, it's getting harder to spot AI images now.
I think so, yeah. I mean, images and videos are so much further ahead than when I first started. I think the writing is easy to spot now, but I think, not to be rude, but I think there were a lot of bad writers before. And so often when I see AI writing, I just assume that the person wasn't a great writer before. So
Right.
I don't know that the AI is worse than what they would have given me to begin with. I think the difference is that those people are now emboldened to write more, which isn't necessarily a bad thing if they're giving it good ideas. Like, I think the democratization of more people having a voice is one of the awesome parts of the internet. So that's great. But if we're just using it to like amplify slop, then I don't think that's helpful.
Love it. That should also be a podcast name, Amplify Slop.
Amplify slop. You and I just talking about nothing for like hours at a time.
Yeah. Or a band name. That would also be a great band name.
100%.
So, okay. No, I like that. So, has this ruined M dashes for you?
Oh, okay. Don't get me started on that. That's like it's devastating to me personally. M dashes were my favorite punctuation. I really hate a semicolon.
Right.
Um, I love an M dash, and now I feel like I have to abandon it. Not all the time, but most of the time.
Just going to get judged off it, right?
Yeah. Although you want to hear my tinfoil hat take on AI writing.
I do.
Okay.
100%.
I think that we're going to start to see more press releases with intentional typos because it's going to be a signifier of a human touch. So, like, if a CEO does a blunder and needs to release a press statement, I'm wondering if there will be intentional typos, like teeny tiny ones in there, so that people think that the person wrote it themselves and not AI.
Oh,
This is my tinfoil hat theory. You brought it on. I'm sorry.
I love it. In fact, I feel like I should almost do that myself. Like, what a great way to signal that, to be honest, if I have to spell one word, I usually misspell it. Like, I'm so bad with it. And this isn't helping because AI now, does everything. But I do find I'm learning a little bit, and maybe I'm learning some of the wrong things, but it is interesting to watch AI rip through a paragraph or two that I've written. I'm usually like, okay, can you make this sound better? Or can you go through this from a grammar perspective and flag in a thing? And there are there are points where I'm like, I think I'm learning, or I might be learning like the wrong thing. It's hard to tell. But I do feel like I'm becoming a slightly better writer.
I believe it, but it's also you're just doing it more. Like, how
Right.
often before were you writing a lot and reading your own writing with any kind of critical eye?
Right. Right. Yeah. You're doing a lot more editing, I think, as a person, hopefully. Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I really have noticed that just being in it for so long that I really can spot a lot of those patterns that they have. Like again, like they'll probably get rid of them at some point, but the things like nobody's doing this and everybody's doing that and these sweeping bold statements that I just think are so like cocky to some degree that it just loves being that kind of truth sayer and just throwing these things out into the ether and having that mic drop moment in every paragraph. I'm just like, oh, that's just so not how I write.
No, but I think we have to look at who it's Dr. Frankenstein is, right? If you were in LinkedIn prior to the introduction of ChatGPT, that was how a lot of those bros that were big in the space were writing, right? Like that's who it was trained on. And so a lot of it really is just boiled down syrupy LinkedIn speak that we have codified into a program. And it is what we made it. And so I think it will always be some version of generic out of the box. It is a tool that you can use effectively if you have a mastery of it. I honestly, at this point, think of AI in writing the exact same way that I think about music, for example. If I bought the
Mm,
fanciest keyboard in the world, it might have really great presets. It might tell me some riffs, all this kind of stuff, but it's not going to tell me what key the song is in. It's not going to tell me what might be a cool background piece to add to a song I'm writing. It's not going to make me better in a band. I still have to know how this thing works. And I think that that is true of AI and writing right now, if writing is the primary function of your job. Again, if you're somebody just trying to write better email or make your day-to-day writing a little bit easier, I think AI voice isn't that bad. But I think
mm,
if you're in charge of writing for a brand or doing a lot of writing and people are paying you money for it, you got to know how to use that thing if you're going to use it.
I love the idea of a keyboard. Everyone's just basically turning on the Mamba swing step or whatever it is. But what a great
More
analogy.
cowbell. You know what this
So,
rock song needs? More samba.
um, what about like creative writing? So let's say you're an author or you're trying to write a novel and you've been wanting to write it for the last 25 years and you're never going to do it even though you keep telling everybody, "Hey, I'm about to write a novel." You're never realistically going to do it. Is now the time to start applying some of this to help you get there, or does it feel like the world's cheat code?
This feels like you're setting a trap for me, Peter. I don't know. I don't know if I love the premise of this I mean, here's the thing. It's so tough, right? Because is AI art? Like if you generate all these prompts and you feed it your own material, is it still art? I mean, AI writing, I think, yeah, I personally want to say no, but I'm open to being proven wrong. I personally wouldn't engage with it. And I mean, what you could use it to edit, you could get it to help you write outlines maybe, but if
What if
you're
it's a
not a
it's a business book?
Oh, yeah, go wild. Everyone's already doing that, I'm sure. People have been paying ghostwriters for years. What's the difference, honestly?
Okay.
Like, skip the ghostwriter, I guess, but it won't be great quality. I think that's the thing, is it lacks discernment and taste. Only you can provide that as a human, is discernment and taste. And so
Yeah.
if you're not yeah, like, AI AI just is a taskmaster. It doesn't have discernment, it doesn't have taste.
Yeah, I've liked that thought for a while now. Just the things that make us kind of uniquely human, right? Taste and passion and nuance and all that stuff are kind of the one advantage I think we have coming up. But it does allow us to be like, hey, it'll present three ideas. It's like, here's three ideas. What do you think? And like, do you want me to make a PowerPoint out of all of them? Like, it just wants to go. And you have to be like, no, 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 no. Like, all of these are terrible. Like,
Yeah,
that one, maybe. Or you have to have this, someone has to kind of call out what's good and what's not on this stuff. And AI would happily go with the worst idea it can come up with if you told it to, right?
100%. It wants the lowest hanging fruit. And you know what? Sometimes that's great. Sometimes in advertising, we got too crazy trying to be clever in an ad, right? Like sometimes we're so clever that we totally lose the point on what we want the consumer to do. And so I think simplicity is sometimes a wonderful thing. But for
Mm.
creativity or being interesting or standing out from competitors, you got to have somebody. Like you have to have some human elements.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is, the hard part is thinking about, how do you stand out in a world of this coming up? Do you use the tools for that or not? Because if you're trying to stand out, by the very nature of using the tool, you're jumping into the pool with everybody else, right?
If you're doing it wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, we're back to podcasts, so the printing press didn't kibosh the campfire story. You know, I mean, every tool that we introduce creates a new way for us to do new things. So that human creativity element will still be there. It has to be. It just, what does it look like and to what extent and what pain do we have along the way in that? And I don't think it's quite the same as the printing press, but I just, technology is constantly evolving, but our human creativity is as well. And so in order for my own sanity, I have to believe that we're going to continue that.
Yeah, me too. I don't know. I feel like we have to believe that stuff, right? I think the otherwise, who knows where this is going. I think where a lot of people fall into is letting AI think for them
Yes.
versus using it as a thinking partner.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
absolutely. Yeah, I think it's really easy to get, I don't want to say lazy, but maybe complacent a little bit, really trusting it a lot, not giving it the due diligence that it needs and all the steps along the way. I think that's a big problem, Peter, if I have to like put a bit of a fine point on it. You need to be iterating with it back and forth the entire time if you're going to use it for anything usable, right? Hey, I think I have this idea for a blog. Here's what I'm thinking. Where should I look for research? Okay, I'll go look at those spots, put them back into you. Okay, great. Can you help me synthesize this research? Use the verbatim language so that you don't slopify it. Okay, great. Now that we've got the concise research, help me draft an outline. Give me 3 options for an outline. Okay, I'm looking through these outlines. I like this part of this, not that part of that. Like, just constant back and forth because I think what's happening right now is that, "Hey, I have an idea for a LinkedIn post. Give it to me." Okay, great. Copy, paste, post. I think that's where we're at, and that's where things are going wrong. I think that the people using it well are using it with a real sense of discernment. And one thing I wanna say very clearly is that we don't know that it's data safe yet. Like, I'm not even inputting any of our custom data into there yet because I just don't think it's safe. Like, I'm using it in ways where I'm saying, I'm keeping it very vague because I still don't know that we can trust that what we're putting in there isn't going everywhere yet anyway. So we should all have a lot better discernment of what we're putting into there and how we're using it.
Yeah, no doubt there. I find even you get kind of swayed by influencers all the time who are just like, hey, man, this is so easy. And if you're not automating everything in your life, you're missing out. And, some of them are using tools that we knew right off the bat, like, was it OpenClaw? When
That was a big problem. Yeah.
Yeah, that was like a window to everything he had. But there's lots of influencers trying to get people onto it, showing how easy it was. And it's true, it did automate a ton of stuff. It does. But as far as security goes, it was a massive problem. And so you can just tell, like, we're still very early on, I think, in really understanding what we're giving away and what we're exposing ourselves to. So, yeah, that makes sense to me.
Yeah, I mean, I've never put client data in there. I never will. I won't based on what I know right now. Like maybe years down the line that it could be trusted, but at this point in the game, I've never put sensitive data in there. I wouldn't. I would encourage other people not to. And I mean, you got to go back to the age old question. I went to school for journalism, and I think this is unfortunately what has been hurting us all along, which is if you don't know what's paying for the thing that you're interacting with, it's you, right? You're the thing paying for it, your data, your
Mm,
attention, all that stuff.
love that.
So I don't know. I don't really trust my data or any sensitive information in there yet. I'm still using it. I still think it's a great tool, but I would not put everything in there.
Yeah, fair enough. I only put in like my social insurance number and maybe my credit card details. That's it. And then after
I think it
that,
needs your blood type too. I actually think your blood type's really
oh,
helpful.
I draw the line there. Yeah, no, no,
My
absolutely.
bad. It's actually my doctor. It has like a log for every like mole or mark I find. It's great.
My God, that's crazy.
Peter, the last thing I want to get on my soapbox about with people and AI and writing that to help them use the tool better and actually use it like a tool is I think everyone would really have better use of it if they themselves became a better critical reader in order to become a better critical writer. So you said it yourself earlier in the episode. You find that you've actually been noticing more things about your writing because you've had to review it more, because you've been doing more of it with AI. And
Mhm.
that is the trick to becoming a better writer is to becoming a more critical reader. So if you want to use AI better for your writing, next time you read anything, look at it closely and think to yourself, what do you like about it and what do you not like about it? The back of your shampoo bottle. What about the directions seemed interesting or useful to you? What made you pick it up in the first place? When you're reading an article, why did you stop reading it? Was it boring? Why was it boring? If you got
Mhm.
through an entire essay, what made you keep going? Like, start to, when you read, and it could be anything, read critically and think what made me engage with this, what made me stay the course and read this all the way, or what made me stop, and start to take note of those patterns that you pick up on what you like and what you don't like and what good and what bad look like to you. And that will help you start to refine. your own writing a bit when you read it back. And then also make sure that you give whatever AI tool you're using guidelines. Don't just plop in an idea and let it spit out whatever. Like give it some parameters. These would be my last pieces of advice for anyone that wants to write better with the tool and become a better reader, which will make you a better writer.
I love that. Yeah, there's books obviously that you can't put down. You're turning pages and walking through traffic reading your book because it's so consuming. And I don't think you ever put any conscious thought into that. Like why is this such a good read where the other one feels like another job to slog through paragraphs and you end up scanning and skimming most of it. So I know the shampoo answer is most of the time the font's too small. And so
You're in there with your readers on,
Yeah,
just like squinting.
and this is my UX background, but I'm like, why the fuck is shampoo and conditioner so small? Like everyone's got soap in their eyes and no glasses in the shower,
They don't
right?
expect you to read it. They don't expect you to read it.
But I do need to tell these bottles apart. That's all. Like your one job is to tell me which one's shampoo and which one's conditioner.
You're right. The fact that they're always the same color seems like a huge mistake to me.
Oh, it's a massive UX failure.
Okay, one last thing I'll say is my favorite book on writing of all time, and it's actually like a fun, short, easy read. It has nothing to do with copywriting, but everything to do with copywriting. Stephen King's On Writing. Like the horror author Stephen King, he has my favorite book on writing.
Oh, cool. Is it called On Writing?
Yep, it's Stephen King's On Writing, and it is a hell of a read. He is a weird man, and his writing habits are wild, but he's a prolific writer. And I'm not saying that he's a great literary mind. Like he's not going to win any Nobel prizes, and he's not up there with Faulkner, but he writes a damn compelling book, and his advice on writing is fantastic.
Well, they've turned just about every book he's ever written into a movie. It's got to say something. Or
Honestly,
maybe.
he's got a great process. And again, not all of it's going to be applicable, but it's one of my favorite books on writing,
Oh,
especially for like ads.
that's brilliant. Yeah, I will definitely check that out. I'll stick it into the show notes too.
You should read
Yeah.
it. It's honestly kind of enjoyable too. It like talks about his process. And the one thing I'll say that I don't agree with categorically, he writes all of his novels listening to like AC/DC and classic rock. And I don't know how you listen to lyrics and read at the same time. There is something wrong with that man. And when he dies, we need to crack his head open like a walnut and go digging inside to see.
Oh my God. I used to read, this is back in the day, which I feel like we had more time or at least more patience to read, but I used to read books and then I had my Walkman on, which is dating me here. And then I only had 2 tapes that my parents gave me, which one was Hooked on Baroque, which is like
Yeah.
classical jazz.
Okay, interesting. I thought it was just straight Baroque, and I was really into this for a minute.
No, had this kind of weird jazz vibe to it. And I would listen to that and read books. But what's weird is like, if I hear that song, I'm instantly remembering the books I used to read. But it was, yeah, I don't think I could do that anymore. I don't think I could read with distractions because it takes every molecule in my body to stay focused on anything these days.
Yeah, that attention fragmentation is a tough nut to crack. But I do like this Pavlovian idea that I play this one weird jazz classical album and you just look for the immediate book in the area.
Yeah, it's strange, not to say the least. Okay, Santana, this is a pleasure. I'm so glad we got a chance to catch up.
Yeah, likewise. Thank you so much for this. And yeah, I'm excited to see how this
Yeah,
turns out.
I'll
AI
send you.
and this interview.
I'll send you a thank you email, but I'm actually really nervous now to do so.
Why?
Well, I'll just make sure
I'll
I
print
rate
it out. I'm going to do red lines all over it, and then I'm going to mail it back to you. If you see a tapping at your window, that's my carrier pigeon, and he's got your edits.
It's the only way I learn. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks for tuning in. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss another episode. Want to stay up to date on AI on a weekly basis? Get in on our newsletter at artificialbreakdown.com. Stay charged out there.